ag issues were prominent in Nebraska's 2015 legislative session, and Nebraska Extension Ag Law Specialist Dave Aiken expects them to be front and center again when the 2016 session begins January 6th. We recently talked with Dave to preview potential issues next year and recap what took place in 2015, including agritourism and livestock development. But we started by looking at a bill dealing with grain elevator failure.
Well, this is a very important bill from Senator Johnson of Wahoo. It was LB 183, and it addressed issues arising from the Pierce grain elevator failure in 2014, and they changed the process a little bit for producers trying to get payment on bad grain checks. Now they have 15 days to, after they've made their last grain delivery, to get their check, their grain check for the grain they've delivered. That used to be 30 days, so they tightened that up. But then if the check, they've got to cash the check within 15 days, and then if the check bounces, they've got 15 days to report that to the state. So
how tight are those deadlines?
Well, those deadlines are very important because if you miss any one of those three deadlines, then your chance of recovery is zero.
Now there's a difference in this bill if you're a producer or a commercial buyer.
That's right. In the Pierce grain elevator, over half the insurance proceeds went to paying commercial grain buyers, and the legislature said, no, we really intended this program to benefit producers that hadn't gotten paid for their grain, and so they kicked the commercial buyers out, and now the recovery will be limited to farmers. Let's
shift gears and talk about agritourism liability. What took place in 2015 in Nebraska?
Well, this was another major bill from Senator Schill's Ogallala. It's LB 329, and it limits liability for personal injury in an agritourism facility or operation where the operation meets all the appropriate legal requirements. And the purpose behind the bill is to bring down the liability insurance premiums so that farmers and ranchers can look at getting into this as a kind of a sideline to help out on their operation. And if the premiums do come down, we may have more operators involved with this, and that could be really beneficial for rural Nebraska.
We know that livestock development was critically important in 2016, or at least there was an emphasis put on that. To what effect was it in the unicameral?
Two of the bills were passed. The first one is LB 106 from Senator Watermeyer, and that has to do with the state zoning matrix. And the matrix is basically kind of a checklist and analysis of proposed livestock facilities to be considered in the county zoning process. That matrix is voluntary for the counties. They can use it, change it, whatever, but they don't have to use it if they don't want to. But that was one of the important bills that was adopted.
And the other bill?
The other bill is LB 125, again from Senator Schill's, and that increases the amount of state tax credits that are available for new or expanded livestock facilities, and the ceiling went from $30,000 to $150,000, so larger operations can take advantage of that program.
What issues related to agriculture do you expect to see when the unicameral comes back in session in January?
Okay, we're going to see packer feeding, probably some clean energy discussions, and then property taxes, which we see every year.
So packer feeding was close last year, and you think we'll see it again this year?
Yes. This was again from Senator Schill's. It was LB 176, would allow meat packers to own and have custom-fed swine in Nebraska, which is how they do it in Iowa. So it's an advantage to packers to be able to do it that way. And the idea is that this helps younger or newer producers get into the livestock business, and it also creates an incentive for packers to stay and to not pull up stakes and to go over to Iowa where they get a little bit better deal. Opponents, however, who fought this said that, well, this gives packers too much control over swine markets in Nebraska. It had enough votes to pass, but not enough to beat the filibuster, but I'm sure that it will be back.
What do you anticipate we'll see for clean energy incentives?
We had a bill, LB 473, that would increase tax incentives for clean energy facilities. That'd be like wind and solar power plants. And supporters say that where these wind farms have gone in Nebraska, they've helped out a lot in terms of the property tax and created jobs and a bit of real. It's like almost like having an ethanol plant at your town. It's a pretty good deal. But the opponent's saying that this makes our existing coal-fired power plants less competitive economically and can put the squeeze on them. But again, it was up against a filibuster, couldn't beat it, but I think it'll be back.
And the other issues including property tax reform?
Yes, property tax reform is, we've had the property taxes went up after the corn prices went up, corn is down, property taxes have started to come down, but not enough. And so we're going to take a hard look at that, but finding the money to pay for that is always a problem. We're also going to get the governor's first real budget, which gives him a chance to leave a policy stamp on taxing and spending in Nebraska. And we may see some more clean energy issues again, in addition to the incentives.